Alright, hello everyone. Here we are back for another guide. And what we are going to do is jump in and do some Tour 5. As I have not started this tour, let me take a look. White Cliffs, Nordic Fjords. I think we should be okay. But it's tough to know for sure in terms of long iron. You do really want some distance. You can see I have a 12-yard gap here between these two. Ball guide looks pretty similar. The curl, definitely advantageous to Goliath. This is the only one that I'm really thinking about maybe using that. It's going to be close either way. It may just be kind of wind specific more so than anything. But let's go ahead. What do we need? 2 wins? Yeah, 2 wins to get Tour 6 unlocked. So let's just jump in here. Take a look at this setup. So this is the one case where a power 3 ball could come in to play and be a good thing. Slightly out clubbed here, and with my opponent going for the green, or with my opponent going up through there, and with a kingmaker, which will potentially give them the opportunity to get to the green. I got to think about what I want to do here. Because you obviously don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to lose. Try to get away with a quasar here. Maybe just a little bit of curl. There's no way of knowing for sure that I'm going to be able to get to the green in 2 here. It usually takes a lot of club. I'd have to switch to the big dog. And not only that, still have to hit quite a perfect shot to get up there. You can see my opponent is using a big dog. But even with, kind of where they're at, getting up to the green is not going to be the easiest thing. So I kind of was, just looking towards the shootout more so than anything. You can see my opponent's really not forcing it, just trying to get it up and play. It's going to be a lengthy pitch, but still holdable. But that's more or less what I was setting out to do. You definitely won't need to use kingmakers to be able to pull that off. So that's what you're going to see me do, is essentially just try to get it up in between here. Did hit a great ball, much might make me lean and actually go into the rough. We'll see if it comes out. Nope. So we are going to be pitching from the rough. But what's nice about rough pitching is perfect ball can essentially be almost put you in when you get your perfect ball. So because you'll see that you won't have to play very much wind, so it's going to be close. If I can just kind of get this lined up more so than anything. So here's half club, a little bit more. Not really sure what my accuracy is. I'm going to have to go out and check that. After this shot, you can see using about 3 backspin. I go about here. I'm also going to just use maybe right around here. You can see very little wind that needs to be played. Missed my perfect ball. Definitely not going to have any chance missing the perfect ball. Looks like it might have been coming up a little bit short too. So into the wind. Didn't look like it wanted to play the whole distance there. But, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about was the shootout. And that's why I didn't switch my bag to the big dog. And obviously, if I'm not going to use big dog, then there's no real advantage to putting on a Kingmaker or Titan. I'm going to be pretty tight on those, especially in these lower tours, because it's pretty much going to come down to the shootout more so than anything. And I do have enough spin on my Viper here that I'll still be okay for this shootout. And you can see my opponent here really doesn't understand ball guide too well. As you can see, they don't really know what they're doing shot-wise. There's essentially no way that this is going to work out favorably. So, you know, just how you saw me play this in the tournament, that's how I'm going to play it here. Which means that I'll just try to shoot this up through, utilize a lot of my top spin, and pretty close to, you know, max number here. Other than that, I might just use just a tiny bit of curl. And there you can see, we got it up and got it in there pretty decent. You can see pretty much I'm kind of maxed at my top spin capability there with what needs to be done. But there you can see we're going to start our collection of Tour 5 chess. So hopefully somewhere in there is going to be a thorn. I'd really like to start getting a couple more things unlocked here. Somewhere down the line. Another thing I can do with 500 gems is I could open, you know, bulk open a couple. Especially if I was going to play a lengthy tour. You know, stream here. You know, I could bulk open a couple. Potentially give myself some extra chess. Seeing a lot of these par 5s is, you know, kind of frustrating. So it's much better to get the par 4s to show up, and there's twice as many of them. However, more times than not, you know, you may be able to, you know, win on this hole or some of the par 5s. And it's a really strange, unusual method. Basically, let's full top spin it, but then short hit it. Like, what? Like, why don't you just not top spin it? Like, this is so crazy. You know, there is a chance that I'll be able to get up there towards the green, but there's no real way of knowing whether or not I will be able to or not. One of the things I do know is I may be able to win this hole. So just going to try to get it up here. Kind of a good position. Try to get not too aggressive. And just for the second shot, I'm essentially going to be setting myself up to blast it kind of as far as possible. Just to potentially, if you do this just right, you'll potentially, win outright. And anytime that you can avoid the shootout, especially after I just picked up all those balls. Now, if you're a little tight on the balls, if you see a lot of par fives, one of the things that you can do is just avoid playing them. I could just, back out along the way. Here, what we're going to try to do is just blast it up here as hard as possible. It's a little bit of curl. Oh, come on. 3-ring pull. That's ridiculous. I'm not used to Tour 5, as you can see. That's the second straight one. And really was not able to take advantage of anything. Unless I can get this to hole out. I got to remember to go check my Nirvana as well. So I don't know what I'm thinking. Not Nirvana, the off-roader. I want to know how much spin it has. Because now we're going to have to go into the shootout with the big dog, which is something that I essentially was trying to avoid. Early on that, too. So I'm just early all over today. Very frustrating. Coming from, I just played this tournament, but the needle speed should be faster. Or at least the same. I'm trying to think. Is it Tour? I thought it was Tour 4. So unable to take advantage, but here you can see we get to the shootout. We should still have an advantage because our opponent has basic ball, which should still give us an advantage. However, it may come down to, potentially perfect ball. I'm hoping to avoid needing, man. So this really makes things a little uncomfortable here. So this shot is very challenging with, this was best case scenario for my opponent here. Because it's actually not favorable to have the power ball. So you can see that it actually makes my shot tougher. So not quite able to pull that off. It looks like I used just a little bit too much curl. As I mentioned, I couldn't exactly put the ball guide exactly where I wanted it. But, I did see that my opponent had the horizon, which can be favorable as well. Thousands of games. So over 1,000 games here. He did add power. I don't think that's going to be helpful. I think that's probably going to send this too far. Probably could have got away with that spin, if it landed short enough. One of the reasons that my spin works is because of where I'm specifically landing, but if you land it shorter, it might hit the hill just a little bit different. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, what my opponent did there. But ideally, what you're going to want to do when you kind of try to force, a Titan to try to pull out the win pre-shootout, you'll want to make sure that, you actually pull off the shots that you're trying to do. So right now, for some reason, I'm just really fast with my timing. But let's go take a look here. Off-roader is 2.2-ish. What's that per ring? Probably 3.5 at max. 3? Somewhere between 3 and 3.5 at max club, I would imagine. So if the wind was, say, 3.25 and I was at max club, I'd need to go about 1 ring. So let's keep going. You can see I unlocked the chest. This is saying plus 10%. Yeah, this should be a faster moving needle. So if it's moving faster, why am I early on my timing on those full power shots? Another par 5. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. So, same exact hole. I'm going to try to do it again. Might as well. Oh, come on. Give me a break. So trying to get it up just a little bit farther. I want to just try this again just to kind of see if I can pull it off. Just so I can kind of show you guys the risk-reward component. But as I mentioned, if you keep seeing these par 5s and you want to kind of, take it a little bit easier and not need to use any Titan, if par 5s don't come up, and that's one of the things that I hate about the new format that they've done, is they make it to where, a par 5 comes in and, you almost are required a Titan, even in the rookie, if you want to actually get there. So this is a perfect example, and I may be able to even back off of the power a bit. So you can see I'm not even going full here. Oh my goodness, I'm early again. Do not clip the rough. Unbelievable. Absolutely ridiculous. So just mistake after mistake after mistake for me. I get in this situation where I can essentially, you see my opponent has a Viper, and that's why you want to play against these guys, and then I still screw up the shot. It's unbelievable. I'm not used to having this bad of timing. So this is a good win to try a dunk. So I didn't even leave the cup there. Biggest thing is try to make sure that you avoid the short hit. Perfect ball. Destroyed the pin. But should leave me a pitch. Should leave me a almost guaranteed makeable pitch. So one of the things you can see about my opponent is, That's going to be tough. So I'm going to use the down and one with no ball guide. Very challenging thing to do. Now we should be good here, I would imagine. The cup is, yes. So you can see my last ring is inside the cup, which means I can great ball it either way. So basically we took an easy chance. If I had that absolutely perfect, I would have basically, took a win. But, we take a chance where it's not necessarily going to cost us the shootout, because even slamming the pin there, isn't going to, until you get more backspin than that, it's not going to take you out of position there. So let's take a look. Oh no. So I have that's not going to be as favorable. So I would have liked to have had the Goliath here. Would have been ideal. And you can see with the great ball, just kind of pushes me over about 7 yards. Goliath is a little bit easier to pull off. Now this shot, it can be very challenging. Not one that I recommend. It requires way too much precision. It's very tough to actually, pull this off. You can see he's adding power. Let's see if he pulls back. So you can see with that curl that he's adding power, and adding power is probably going to send it projectiling. So you have to be very careful, and you can see not able to hold on there. But again, I put myself in a tough position because I should have been able to win that hole outright, and I should have been able to avoid the shootout. That's the point of using the Titan. I don't want to go into these holes without my Viper. So, you got to play smart, and if you're going to take the chances, you got to pull them off. I also don't want to, use too many Titans. I'm comfortable using maybe, let's just say, with what I just won, 15 Titans this week until next tournament, or 20 at the absolute most. So, you want to keep that inventory. And that's just the types of things that you want to be thinking about. So if we can get away from these par fives altogether, it would be ideal. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm probably going to do 8 matches just so I can get that pin chest. And here you can see finally par 4. We can actually go at this the way that we want. Now, with this hole, we don't even need our extra mile. In fact, the extra mile can actually make things a little too risky. So let's take a look at our opponent, 1,300 games. Interesting. So one of the things that I should have on right now is my quarterback. And you can do a quarterback on this. So if you can do a quarterback, that's what you should do. Because, you don't want to put yourself in the rough because you try to do too much with the extra mile here. You can see, actually, if my opponent got a perfect ball, he would have been in the rough. So that just goes to show how risky that shot is and not worth doing. So if I switch over to the QB, straight top spin. We don't have to worry about accuracy as much. It'd be much easier to keep it in the fairway here. So let's see if we can get a good attempt here. Give this one a chance. I usually use about 2 bars on this. Seems to kind of bump up there. Just shoot right towards the hole. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of a ring and a half or so. You can see with where I'm trying to aim. Got my perfect. It at least has a chance. Let's see if it runs out. Looks like I might have left it just a little bit short. That's, one of the reasons with that upslope as to why I try to take off some of that spin. So one of the things, if you are going to use the down in one, that I recommend is definitely just go for the dunk. It makes it tougher if you try to use something with little to no ball guide. What if the ball guide glitches out on you? Like, you just never know for sure. And I'm half tempted to actually switch over that myself, just in case I am by the green. I could just go for the dunk every time. And especially when wind is so small in these first 5 tours, first 6 tours, it's really ideal. It's kind of an ideal situation for that club. Now, what I usually do is usually play the spin on this one. We'll see if we're able to get this. So there's 2 different ways to play this. One's on that fairway, one's on the other fairway. So what I'll typically do is play it over here. Just bumping it into this hill. I'll usually try to curl it. We got some wind and some wind effect here. So I'm just going to let it just kind of bump over here with no curl. So almost able to get it there. And you can see we really didn't need the Goliath there. And that's pretty much going to be standard, that I won't need it, but only a couple times. So I'm thinking about just opening maybe just a couple chests. Maybe try to get in another gold chest here or something. Something similar to that. Runner, Goliath, Saturn. I'd like to open maybe just a couple, because you can see we're kind of comfortable with balls. Maybe just switch this back. So this is the last hole that I want to see. This is the hardest one to get there into. So, pretty much going to just accept that we're not getting there in 2. It's going to be my strategy for this one. I'm not even going to pull out a Titan or anything. Just try to focus on that perfect ball. The last thing you want to do is drive this in the rough. So that's the biggest mistake that you can make, is putting that in the rough. It's the only way you can potentially turn yourself into a par here. Oh wow, we're actually playing somebody around the same amount. He actually has less games than me. How awesome is that? I don't usually play guys with less games than me. This is maybe the first time in days. Oh, that great ball might cost my opponent here. Yep, so you can see now it's going to shoot over to the rough. Now to get out of this, you probably can still do it, but it's going to, it's really going to depend on the clubs that he has. So ideally, we want to get it over. Try to thread it up through there. Looks like I'm able to do it, and that's one of the reasons that you saw me kind of back off the power. This is just kind of groove it through here, get myself into wedge range. Now, that wind's not going to be helpful because my opponent really wants to get it up here to be able to get there in 2, or to be able to get there in 3. This is going to have to force him out to the right a little bit more, makes it a little bit tougher. I can't remember in terms of range kind of where this is going to be. I've only seen a couple people over, 1 or 2 over this far before, and I know it's going to be tight. So we are close to max club here. We have a little bit of backspin, so we're going to utilize that. Try to, is that bounce? Okay, so that's bounce 2. So I'm going to come in just a little bit more on that, kind of like this. I'm thinking maybe 2.5 rings here or so. Bit much, but you can see, speed-wise it looks pretty good. One of the things that you'll want to do is you could kind of count grids. I wasn't doing that there, but let's say I kept that second bounce, say 4 grids short of the pin. You can see the rollout. So you'd pretty much just know that that's how that shot's going to play out. And again, this is where that risk component comes in. You can see he got just a little bit too risky. He's going to wind up on this side hill, and this could potentially lead to par. He's going to have to hold that to make it to shootout. So it is something that you just want to be just a little bit cautious with, is that you're not trying to force too much, especially on this hole. This is the last hole that I want to see, because I think it's probably one of the toughest in this entire set for me to get to the green in 2. Just going to go ahead, open this up. Didn't get any new unlocks. Only going to do that a couple times. As you can see, I do have the gems to play around with. So that's when I'll just try to kind of maybe just use just a couple chests. This is basically, it's essentially, if I do that 4 times, it's essentially going to save me a day. I'm going to get somewhere a day quicker. And it's not something that I can always do, but since I've been kind of just slowly building up my clubs, and I really do want, if I didn't want things like Guardian or Thorn right now, I wouldn't even be doing it. But if I can unlock those clubs, it's going to make my life 10 times easier. So, it's one of those things that I just want to kind of accelerate the process just a tiny bit right in this early going. Hole 1, par 4. Okay. Just trading the wind. Wow. Look at this guy. 1,400 games. He's not even really that close to my trophies. 150 off. Oh, wow. I've never seen anybody go over there. That's interesting. Ho, ho, ho. Looks like it clipped the rough. If that isn't a reason not to go that way. So a couple different things I can do here. I could probably try to get away with a basic ball here if I wanted to. Nope, he's just going to forfeit. So what I was just going to try to do was focus on, putting it in play more so than anything. It looks like my opponent's just going to go ahead and forfeit out. Going to save us some time. See if I got anything here. Got my off-roader up and the sand lizard. Okay, so I do have the Malibu going. So an early sand lizard probably isn't going to do me much. One of the things that it does happen is this top spin will open up and really make my life a lot easier. What else did I just get? I just got this off-roader up to a 2. You can see that's going to add some power and topspin. That'll be nice. Just in case I get towards the end of my range a little bit. So you can see having that unlocked, that was a good unlock for me. It really helps me in the early. Otherwise, we'll have to use that machete. You can see it's just a little bit of outranged here. Having the off-roader, getting that to unlock in a lucky chest might have been that first platinum that I got. And that's another thing that you need to be thinking about. So if you're not bulk opening chests and you don't have spots, you're going to be missing out on platinums. So I haven't even seen my second platinum yet. And I'm fairly certain I probably would have got maybe around, usually you get your second one around 70 or 80 games, which means I missed it. So that is something that you need to be thinking about, is having, watching the games that you're playing, make sure that you have room, because I'm assuming during the tournament sometime, when I didn't have room, and I'm not going to open those chests unless I'm playing my tournament rounds very slow to try to unlock all those chests, I miss out on a platinum. So that is, a little unfortunate. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to go here. So I should have enough time to back out here. But I obviously don't want to go and jump into Tour 6 right now. So I could probably win there, but not something that I want to do. Hole 3, par 5. Do I even attempt this? I feel like I've messed this up so bad. I've played this so poorly. that I should just pretty much give up on this dream of showing you guys how to do this one. So I definitely don't try to do anything risky like going over here. It's really not good with with these early clubs. Here you can see my opponent, Marlin. Marlin ball off the tee. You know, I don't have to worry about him getting to the green, which in lies that, you know, challenge. Do I try to force the issue here? And this is just stuff that you want to be thinking about, because if you can avoid the shootout, you know, you can progress your account faster. And what bag am I on? Am I on bag 1? So I'm going to need to switch to bag 2 if I'm going to do this. Got my perfect. And getting just a little bit more aggressive, as you could see. I could kind of see, you know, how far it was running out. And I wanted to get it just a little bit more up to the edge. I didn't want to get it that close. As you could see, it was probably side spin that I put on there, more so than anything, just kind of, you know, taking it just a little bit more right than expected. But you should see that we should be able to get just a little bit more aggressive here. And, you know, hopefully with even less power is kind of my goal. And if we can basically avoid the shootout altogether, you know, we just get through the tour that much faster. So it's something that you constantly want to be thinking about. So what I'm always going to try to be thinking is putting as much topspin as I can. I try to land right up in here. Finally. Jeez. So here you can see, shoot it up. You can see perfect speed. And essentially, you know, take the eagle. And as you could see, you know, I wouldn't have to be up even that far. Did give my opponent a pretty makeable wind. So let's see what happens here. If he gets this lined up just right, he should be able to put this in. You see, it's a straight wind. So just offline. So really good opportunity for my opponent there to take an eagle anyway. But you can see that little bit of extra that I did here gave me that, you know, outright win here. And it unfortunately took me 3 Titans to do it. But, you know, that's more or less what you want to be focusing on doing each and every time for this. So another silver here. Let's go ahead, just bulk open this. Another unlock there. So I got my skewer now. So skewer out of 1, not really good enough. Go back to the regular bag. Go back to a regular ball. Oh, wow. Hole 9. This is a tough hole. So you can see my opponent using Titan ball. Do recommend the Titans on this one. Let's see if he holds on here. Looks like he does. So it is going to kind of put him at a little bit of range there. What I typically do is also Titan ball. I need to go either Titan or Katana, something like that. Having the extra side spin can be useful here. I'll have to switch to the big dog. Did catch a great ball, but hopefully with the extra side spin we'll be okay. That's one of the biggest advantages to being able to bring that Katana, is to allow me to get that extra side spin. So that extra side spin comes into play, and that's the only reason that I was, I only have 2 of those balls. So, I may have to pick some more up because they're very hard to earn free to play. It's not easy to pick up katanas, but they are my preferred ball of choice, especially in the early going. But once I can get enough kingmakers, and ideally with the pro tournament, if I can put myself in a banner positioning on the pro tournament, that's how I'm really going to be able to up my quantity of kingmaker balls. But there you can see opponent in the rough. That's one of the main reasons, you can see that I just get it up here into range more so than anything, right around 1 on the backspin or so. Just blasting it up here. It's the only thing that made just a little bit more range. I would have been able to go about half power on a Titan. But with that left pointing wind, I didn't want to take a chance that it would not, especially with a great ball, that I would put myself in the left rough until I can get my curl up a little bit higher on my extra mile. I don't want to be too risky with my shot, because the worst thing that you can do is drive it in the rough there. So with the extra side spin of the Katana, it essentially makes sure that I get it over to the right enough off the tee there. And you can see, if you can play, especially in these early going, if you can play, relatively flawless, you put yourself in a good position, because you can avoid a lot of shootouts. I mean, let's just look at today's round. If I would have actually pulled that shot off on that par 5 all 3 times, think about how few shootouts I would have needed to play. So you can see in these early levels, getting the eagle on the par 5 can sometimes be enough. I would have only essentially played like 2 or 3 shootouts today so far, if I would have been able to actually pull off that shot. A couple trophies I just unlocked there. Another silver chest. Did get a pin chest as well. Let's see what this looks like. Rough cutter, Saturn. Go ahead and clear this. I'm going to do one more, because I think I'm right on the verge of getting a gold. I'm going to just try to play. As you can see, it's been going pretty well. You can see I'm collecting some gems here. Get some of my gems back, plus the pin chest. Just reset things. Go to my pretty standard bag. Gonna just try to get that last gold chest in play. And you can see I used about 100 of my gems, just trying to accelerate things a little bit and also get some golds into place. I'm not going to be playing for the most of this week, so I'll still be able to accrue those gems back up. I'm probably only going to do Tour 5 this week. So again, same type of thing. Just don't want to get too risky here. So you can see I'm trying to stay away from that edge as much as possible, especially with the tailwind. But I'm going to try to do, the same type of shot. I never really know about my opponent, what they're going to do, especially shooting first. And when I put myself in good position, I give myself the opportunity of going for the green in 2. It's going to be a little bit tougher for my opponent to pull off, although still possible. But you never know what that second wind's going to be either. So for instance, if we get straight in the face, I'm going to have to blast it as much as possible and probably still won't get to the green. Oh, so the great ball puts me in the bunker. You can see opponent sniper 1. That means he doesn't have any topspin. So he's going to have to lay up. But once again, as I mentioned, I could have taken care of this hole and, not had to... You typically don't want to play with a sniper 1 because you have no spin whatsoever. If we get a shootout with a par 3, it could be kind of do or die. Oh well, so this is perfect. So if I get perfect ball, I should be able to pull this off. There's almost no way of missing this with perfect ball. It looks like I got my perfect. So I should roll right into the pin. But, that's also something that I have to worry about my opponent as well. Should be positioned relatively well and should have a very good opportunity. Oh, it's a little bit angled for him. But you can see it's still very, very small wind. If I had a Hornet, I'd be feeling pretty good. So you can see kind of where they are, kind of about 4 grids. When that first bounce, that's kind of in that territory that I was mentioning. Right around 4 grids seems to be good. This is going to come in just a little bit hot. It looks like they didn't quite get that alignment right. This looks like it's going to lip out on the right edge. So again, as I was mentioning, didn't really play the ball guide too well. You would have wanted to put that maybe just off the left edge of the cup. It looks like he had it just off the right edge of the cup, and then it actually flew straight. Looks like, let's see if I got that gold chest that I wanted. I know I got the platinum. We were just talking about that. So, that's one of the main reasons that you do want to, have that chest vacancy. It's something that you want to be thinking about. So, let me just kind of, show you where we're at. We put together, 9 games. So fortunately for us, we were able to get 9 wins out of that as well. So, that's the biggest key here is to just kind of keep trucking along. Try not to do too much. Try not to overwork yourself. I did end up using 5 or 6 Titans, 5 Titans. So I did work through some inventory. However, let's just see what does it get me? We're halfway through Tour 5 already. So should only need 1 more stream to finish up Tour 5. Potentially I'll only have to play, 9 more matches. So, those are the types of things that you want to be thinking about. I can't stress enough kind of staying within your means and trying to, definitely have that repetitiveness of perfect ball. You could see how many times it came into play. I messed up that hole. That last hole we just played. What did we play it 4 times this stream? That's ridiculous. So we played one hole 4 times. I messed it up 3 out of 4 times, but I was able to recover the eagle 1 of those times. But with perfect execution, we can get up there, get a putt. If I eagle that hole, I essentially win it. Okay, so how many times did my opponent eagle that hole? 0 out of 4. So if I go 4 for 4 or 3 for 4, I essentially close the tour that much faster. Similar with all the par 5s. You just want to foremost keep it in the fairway. That's one of the main things that you want to be thinking about. But other than that, know when and how to take advantage of the situation. And you can see that's how you have success and be able to close these tours out faster. So good luck there, guys. Be on the lookout for future streams to come. I'm going to keep going with this. Keep in mind, this is entirely free to play account. Never going to spend on it. And just going to essentially just take you guys through the process. So be on the lookout for those extra videos to come. Good luck out there, guys.